In the VTubing community, there is a term called graduation, which is used when a VTuber essentially retires or even gets fired from an agency. I think it is one of the worst events that can happen to a VTuber fan. I'd be pretty devastated if someone like Suisei, my Oshi, were to graduate. Unfortunately, this inevitable event has happened quite a lot. Some of the most popular cases are Mano Aloe, Kiryu Coco, Uruha Rushia, Tsukumo-sana, Nina Kosaka, Pikame, and most recently, Mr. Rias, who announced her graduation to be on August 27th of 2023. Now, while these graduations can be quite devastating, there can also be some positive outcomes that can happen as a result. Take, for example, Kiryu Coco. While I know this may be kind of taboo to mention, at this point, everyone knows that she came back as Kei-san. This is often the result for VTubers who graduate. While they were active, they would build up a sizable fanbase, graduate for various personal reasons, and eventually end up getting their dedicated fans to follow their new identity. Many fans have given this the term of reincarnation. It's like at the end of an anime when some characters die and eventually end up being reincarnated as a whole new character, but with the same personality. Except in this case, they're literally the same person behind the scenes. So you might be asking, what even is the point of reincarnation? Why not just stay as the same VTuber and maybe take a break instead? Well, first, with the case of Mano Aloe, she basically states that after all the drama that happened, she wasn't mentally or physically prepared to continue her streaming activities. She's now streaming under a new identity, and even though she only started streaming again a couple months back, she still had a lot of fans waiting for her, even though her graduation was almost 3 years ago. Second, with the case of Kiryu Coco, it was assumed that she had some creative differences with hololive itself and wanted to be more independent, thus starting out as an indie and joining vshojo, a company with presumably more freedom and independence compared to hololive. I would assume this would be the primary reason for many VTubers to graduate, aside from just being burnt out and not wanting to pursue this career any further. But the case with Uruha Rushia is quite different. While she also technically graduated, she never held a graduation stream and was sort of kicked out from the company, essentially being fired from hololive. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about the graduation itself, but the reason for her reincarnation of several other identities is probably because that was the only option. Since hololive owns the character of Uruha Rushia itself, it's not like she could have just continued streaming after being fired without a new model or character. Although I could shortly touch on some of the other VTubers that have graduated, I believe that the 3 I talked about earlier are great examples of the reason why. Other graduations could be a little more complicated and we may not fully know the story behind them, such as the case for Tsukumo-sana. While it's hard dealing with graduations of your favorite members, they can probably still come back anytime if they choose to. You might have noticed that a lot of VTubers, which I won't specifically name, have had other channels with a big following before they even became a VTuber. This is due to agencies like hololive and nijisanji wanting talents who have had streaming experience before. This often requires them to have had sizable channels in either Twitch or YouTube. So it can be quite reassuring that although you may not be able to see them under same personas, at least they can come back to streaming if they want to.